Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the top of the head. Try to get a sense of the top of your head. Try to feel up there in your thoughts, in your consciousness, the top of your head. And as you breathe out through the top of your head, imagine a little hole there, like a dolphin has a hole for breathing out. After 2 or 3 breaths with conscious focus, you should feel a little stream of energy, a little movement of energy from the top of your head. Just breathe. Everything is connected. The physical shell is not really separate from the outside world. It's connected to the air that you breathe. It's connected to the electricity that's in the air everywhere. It's connected to the sense of physical contact through the ground and the sense of touch and everything. Everything's the one thing. The illusion of separation comes in when the mind has convinced itself it is separate because it perceives a false need to defend itself based on ideas that it has about itself, where it thinks it's better off or worse off accordingly in any given situation. A very common example of that is when somebody might think they're better than somebody else, for example, and so they like to keep a distance. When you realize that everything is just love, everything is just what it is, it's just life, the creative experience of self, as above, so below, and we refer to the world as the so below compartment of that statement, as above, so below, then it doesn't take too much mind training to begin to reconcile one's orientation mentally with the nature of the perception of identity and location. In this world, if I believe that I am the body, I will attempt through all of my efforts, conscious and subconscious, to locate myself relative to my body, to locate myself relative to people, situations and things that I think are conducive to the well-being of my body and my mental state. Good friends, nice food, comfortable surroundings and things like that. And I'm not suggesting that you put yourself out into uncomfortable surroundings and untrustworthy friends, etc., etc. But in the interests of spiritual pursuit, we choose to look again at what it is we've been doing in our own thinking as far as ostracizing ourselves and others from the immediacy of the divine nature of our relationship together by false beliefs. Breathe. Keep your eyes closed. Feel. Begin to feel. If you are feeling that little stream of air through the top of your head, and it doesn't matter if you're not, it just means that some of us are more susceptible to feeling things in a certain manner and others, like in meditation. Some meditations work for some people one way and some for another way, which is why it's good not to get stuck in a pointless ritualistic exercise if it's not working for you. Try something else. But if you are feeling that little stream of air from your top of your head, top of the avatar, you will be able to begin to learn how to control that through breath, through conscious association with it as part of, not the whole, but part of your connection with the divine that extends to the whole. And you'll be able to begin to use that energy or that flow to heal the body. You'll find you'll be able to project it mentally as an idea of feeling energy to several areas of your body, predominantly up and down the spinal and what would you call that, central region of the body. But eventually, and maybe immediately, you'll be able to send it to any part of your body, your big toe, your little toe, your end of your nose, even if you are particularly sensitive to your internal organs. I mean, you can send it there anyway, just by conscious direction and breath, but because the internal organs don't have a great sense about them of, what would you call that? There is a word for it, febrility. Not sure if that's the right word. You can't really feel your internal organs. That's what I'm trying to get at. Not unless you've got a stomach ache or something. Anyway, just take a few breaths now. Breathing in, into the stomach. It's like when you're a singer. If you're an opera singer or you're someone that likes to sing, you breathe from deep in the gut. You feel your lungs. You take a whole breath. And you draw that air right down into the lungs, into the bellows of the body, and then out again. Now, a lot of spiritual disciplines will tell you that awakening has something to do with breath work. And if it does, then it does. But ultimately, awakening is a decision in the mind. If you find yourself with a teacher that teaches breath work, then so be it. But it's not the be-all, end-all, and it's not the catalyst for true awakening. True awakening occurs when the mind makes the decision to awaken, and the means for that awakening show up, which may or may not be look like manifesting for yourself somebody that does breath work or any other kind of chi associated activity and all that sort of thing. You don't need an external teacher. And in fact, true spiritual discipline will teach you to listen to your own internal guidance. But training the mind to do that, training the mind to hear the voice for the spirit in you, is something that unless you are, what would you call it? Unless you are free of the constraints of society in many regards and able to put yourself into positions and situations that require incredible amounts of faith to navigate, then generally things proceed along the lines of a training program where little by little you have these incremental shifts in consciousness, or perhaps big shifts in consciousness, that begin to reveal to you the nature of the power of your mind with regards to being able to make new decisions based on better ideas about yourself. So we're learning that we are not the body, that we are the spirit. We are learning that we are free, that we are sinless, that we have never done anything wrong, that this is all just a dream. No one is judged for a dream, but because you do have free will within the framework of the dream or the illusion of free will, you are entitled to maintain false beliefs about yourself if you feel uncomfortable in letting them go altogether. And some people do have incredible packages of guilt and incredible packages of anger that they don't feel justified in letting go yet. And so much more work has to be done on the nature of temporal self before the realization of true self can actually dawn on the mind. The purification has to be at a point where, in A Course in Miracles, Jesus says you are learning to become revelation ready. Right? You are learning to be miracle-minded to become revelation ready. And miracle-minded is forgiveness-minded. Forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. Breathe. Focus. Conscious focus. Try to be conscious as much as possible with doing your workbook lessons if you're reading the Course in Miracles. Try to be conscious as much as possible when you're meditating so that you don't fall asleep like I used to do quite regularly. It doesn't matter if you fall asleep, you probably needed some sleep. I usually find it's better to meditate just after breakfast, mid-morning. You've kind of gotten all the ablutions and maintenance of the body out of the way, had some breakfast, and you find yourself at about 9:30, 10 o'clock in a kind of an open space, and you're not hungry for lunch yet. There's a couple of hours there that you could probably make good use of for meditation. If you're a bit more of a character like Bear Grylls or Wim Hof or somebody like that, you might not sleep at night. You might sit up meditating all night for 48 hours or something. But you can easily meditate for one moment and receive an experience as powerful or more powerful than someone who sits and meditates for a week on end. There's no rhyme or reason to meditation. The mind opens when it opens. In the process of meditating, in the process of consciously and directively participating in the stillness or the action of stillness in the mind, which is a listening or a leaning in to listening within the framework of consciousness, you can catch it by happen chance, or you can catch it by a very masterful amount of practice. For me, I haven't not yet met anyone or had anyone bring me anything with new technology, but I seem to have a fairly masterful practice now of being able to access the light in my own mind at will whenever I want to, without the need for a great deal of lengthy meditation, and occurring instantaneously at my will, which is really, really nice. And I don't really think much of it anymore. I know that it's something a lot of people ask me about it and comment on it. And I guess on social media it may yet still be not very common to have people who have had great success at meditating in some regards to be declaring themselves in the way I declare myself. But I think this is important information, and it needs to get out, and people need to understand that they do have a higher purpose and a true purpose for being in the world, and that engaging with that purpose helps everyone and everything in the world to lubricate, if you like. I don't know if that's the right word. To lubricate the sides of the toroidal experience that we're having, in order to help awaken from it, or to get out of it, or to realize that it's not true, whatever you want to look at that as. Breathe in through the nose, out through the top of the head. Keep your eyes closed and focus. As you begin to go through the particulars of your own unlearning process and relearning process, and especially if you're attending our Zoom meetings, reading the lessons and doing the lessons and reading the text of A Course in Miracles, hanging out with other guys that are doing exactly the same thing, and involving yourself as much as possible in your spiritual devotions, then you will undoubtedly begin to have moments of confrontation with your own fear, which is what it's for. That's what we're here to do. fear is only a mask over a block to the awareness of love. So in removing that mask, it's like removing a barrier. And all of a sudden, the reason that you put the barrier there, which was born of falsity in the first place, comes back to haunt you and to tell you that you shouldn't have taken that barrier down, and I shouldn't be doing this. Don't muck with metaphysics, Dave. It's not good for your health. And in that situation, I have two people at the moment, Carrie and another chap that's not in our Zooms, so I won't mention his name. But going through some quite profound energetic shifts, which is excellent, which is good. The nature of managing the shift or dealing with the shift better, because you really can't manage it, but the nature of dealing with the shift is simply to breathe and to be still and to allow it to happen. To simply allow it to happen, trusting that you are one with the universe. The universe is particularly aware of the nature of the process of healing, because that is the purpose of the spirit of wholeness, or the Holy Spirit in you. And in that case, then you never get more than you can manage, and you never get less than you can manage, but you are always going to get that little bit extra push to help get you over the precipice of every moment or every release opportunity. And you'll find that you need to take moments of being still and breathing, like literally being still, sitting still, standing still, closing the eyes and allowing that energy to come up and feeling it throughout your body, from your groin to your solar plexus to your throat and all of these sorts of things to the crown and out. And I'm not talking about chakras here. I'm just talking about the toroidal elements of the energetic association with the physical form, which connects you to the outside world as an idea of reflecting back the projections of your mind that you've been living by falsely ever since you came here. Like me. So it can get pretty rough. It can get kind of terrifying, but it's only the ego that's saying it's rough, and it's only ego saying it's terrifying. And so I have to keep my finger on my nose and remember that I'm one with all things. My safety is assured because God goes with me wherever I go. And all I need to do is keep that God dependency, or that miracle mindedness, alive and conscious within me, focally conscious within me, to be able to take advantage of it. It's like I'm holding the hand of Jesus metaphysically and physically, like literally as well, and allowing the passing through me of the reinterpretation of my defenses to show up as the release of energy, or the collapse of my old thought system, whatever you want to look at that as. The ego death. So breathe. You got to laugh at yourself. It's like, oh my God, I've been doing this to myself for lifetimes. Walking around this meaningless world, defending myself against everything, telling myself that love should look like this and not like that, making up stories about how I'm a victim to the manifestations of my own projections of mind. And of course you would think that way because you don't have another reference point to make any other kind of informed decision about it with, which is why it's important that as quickly as possible you learn to discipline the mind in order to have a prayerful and mindful experience that has nothing to do with the physical realm, nothing to do with the world, nothing to do with this dimension at all, but one which shows you the nature of life as unrestricted, eternal, limitless, etc., as being one with you in all regards and nothing to do with the form at all. Breathe. Oh, body, which is originally built or originally made, I should say, not created, made. There's a difference between made and created. Made as a defense against the truth, and is a direct reflective characteristic of someone who is defended against truth. Being that if you still have a body, you still have lessons to learn. But the body as a cellular association, let's say, as a cellular association of mindful projection, and it's consciously projected, right? It's deliberately projected from the mind. It's either anticipated or remembered, but it actually doesn't exist at all, which is very difficult to understand until you see it disappear. But the body as a defense against love, as a defense against God, as the symbol of that defense, as the defenses are reinterpreted based on divine law, not the laws of man, the body, as the mind shifts, so the body shifts. And one of the things that occurs is the body seems to have some difficulties at times maintaining regular functioning. And I could tell you many stories of my own experiences with that, none of which are particularly frightening, but they are somewhat inconvenient at times. They do tend to make you wonder what the heck you've gotten yourself into. Breathe in through the nose, out through the top of the head. Feel. Try to connect. Be conscious with your connection. Tell yourself that you want to feel the little jet of air or the little stream of energy that comes from the top of your head. When you become more practiced at that, and you can feel it with every breath, then you can begin also to imagine another hole right next to your bum hole. And if you can imagine, I think it's called the gooch. If you're a male association, you have testicles and a bum hole, and if you can imagine just between the two, a little hole there of energy, and a woman in the same place if you have a feminine body, feminine avatar, and you'll be able to connect those two up, and you'll feel all the way through your physical form the energetic movement of your own chi energy, if you like, or your own life force, which is what that is. It's your own life force. And as you begin to work with it, not only is it kind of fun, but you'll begin to understand the conscious benefits to you of being able to manipulate that energy. And sometimes if I trip over the coffee table, perhaps, and I've got a bruise on my shin, I mean, it doesn't happen, but if I were to do that and I were to practice my breathing, my chi would automatically go to the bruise, and I would feel it incredibly, this incredibly tingling, vibratory sensation. It's a little difficult to describe. It's finer than pins and needles, and it doesn't have any pain about it at all. It's a vibration. It's like a tingling, like a fizzing, almost like an effervescent sort of thing. And I remember, I think I actually mentioned it once before in one of my videos, where I was at SeaWorld with all the big creatures in the tanks and things, and they had this scientific center there. It was for children. They had experiments, and you can touch things and measure things to do with the ocean and stuff like that. And they had this thing that you would put your hand on, like a hand-shaped metal plaque, and there was a meter in front of it, and it went in volts, from so many volts to so many volts, from 0 to 10, let's say. And you would put your hand on there, and it would measure you as a human being. And I think the average volts of electrical conductivity that a human being puts out is something like 1 volt, which is a lot. You wouldn't imagine that you would be able to perceive it to that degree, but a Dolphin was something like 2 volts or something, and I don't know, there was other things there mentioned, but I put my hand on the little plaque thing there, and it went up to 1 volt, and then I opened my mind, just as a kind of a personal experiment, and it went up to 1.5 volts, just over 1.5 volts. And there was all little kids standing around me wondering how I did it. I don't know if they were wondering that, but I assume they were wondering that. But it was kind of groovy. And I guess if you're a scientifically minded person, it would be some sort of proof of the pudding. And I know over times, a lot of, especially with Buddhist monks and people like that, have been asked to participate in scientific experiments regarding meditation and the beta and theta waves, I think it is, of the mind, if they could measure them before and after meditation or during meditation. And there is a profound difference. There is a profound difference. CAT scans and things like that, same thing, profound differences. So if you like that sort of thing anyway, it's partially the phenomena, but it's all attributable to awakening, and it's all attributable to the power of the mind. But in this dimension, in this realm, we are so dumbed down. We are so dumbed down as dense or dark light associations within the framework of our limitation that we find ourselves in here, that the power of choice is the last remaining power we have. That's it. But it's enough to get us out of this realm. It's enough to awaken us and to allow us to realize that the self-sacrifice, which isn't really a sacrifice, but the release of the ego, which is the maintaining catalyst for the perpetuation of the realm experience, is something that we actually want and can decide for and choose for, as an idea of choosing first the kingdom of heaven. Right? Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and then all else will come to you. Because as you do that, you are automatically not deciding against the ego or anything like that, but you are deciding for peace, for eternal life. Okay? And it's important that definition is made. You're not deciding against anything, because it gives validity then to the action of mind that thinks deciding against something is valuable or helpful, which is simply just another form of judgment against. So we decide for our holiness, and the Holy Spirit teaches us to choose for our holiness and to use our self-invented capacity for judgment to judge for the holiness of others and for the beneficence of others, and ourselves included in that. Breathe. All right, that's good. I'll leave it there. Practice that breathing. It's not necessary in meditation to sit for long hours. Maybe whilst you're still doing the workbook lessons of the course and you feel a certain way about it, do that. But eventually, I would encourage you, as I was encouraged, to make further experiments, okay, to make ongoing experiments with the ideas around meditation and prayer as an idea of leaning towards simply an activity of mind, of being grateful for everything, because everything is either a blessing or a lesson. And you're grateful to have the lesson presented because it gives you the opportunity to heal. You're grateful to have the blessing because it gives you the opportunity to share it and to extend it to others. Remember that ideas are increased by sharing. And if you could, I would love it if you could copy the link for these videos, the ones you enjoy perhaps, and put them on other media platforms. Ideas are increased by sharing, and we really, like we're participating with our brother Jesus in being of whatever assistance we can through our own capacity to render ourselves to be our brother's keeper. And I can't think of a better use in life than that. If you've got a better idea of how to be of greater service in life than that, then I'm all for it. Good news, we've had a quote for the, it's all good news. We've had a quote for the little books back from India, which we've decided to go with. It's a lot cheaper there to get, not so much to get them printed, but for the shipping costs to get the majority of the books to America, and some to Australia, and from America I think Tina's going to ship out some here, there and everywhere to Europe, and I forget the other place, Tobago, Caribbean, something like that. But if you do want to be a distributor, if you'd like to receive a dozen little booklets maybe, or 2 dozen or whatever, and you think that you've got the energy to actually make the effort to go and distribute them, put them in crystal shops or new age shops, I find that's where they go the best. People are there looking for something and don't want religion, so generally. But just contact Tina for that, and she would absolutely be stoked to send, that's an Australian word, stoked, to send you some booklets. And I don't know how long it's going to take to get them printed. It's taken us quite a few months, 3 months or 4 months, to get to this stage where we finally accepted a quote, and I'm excited. There's a few new things. If you've got one of the old little booklets, don't jump up and down and say, I want one of the new ones. The old one's just the same, but we have put some extra stuff in the new one. Not that it's going to change anything. If you've got a copy of the Course in Miracles, man, you don't need it. Like, try not to, lock up resources that could better be used for people that don't have a copy of anything. You know what I mean? Trying to say, like, just keep giving this away. Thank you for everyone that has donated money. At this stage, it looks like we've got enough money for probably 3,000 booklets. They're going to cost us, with postage, I think it was about 79 cents each. And we've got just under $3,000 in the kitty. If anybody wants to throw in another $1,000, we'll get another 1,000 books printed. That would be awesome. Awesome. But time's running out. That's going to be happening any day now. So probably with this video will be your last opportunity to dig deep and support this initiative as part of your participative activity. Participative activity. Sounds a bit clinical, doesn't it? So, all right, I love you guys. I love you. And the Zoom was awesome. It was only a short one this week. And a few guys have already messaged me going, oh, I didn't realise you were doing them every Monday. Well, we sort of are doing them every Monday for a moment, because we've got a lot of new guys that have just sort of started. So we had about 8 or 10 people for the last one. So if you are one of those people that's said to me, I'd like to join in the next Zoom or whatever, all you got to do is contact Tina. She'll add you to the messenger group, and then the link will be posted on the day, I think they do it the day before, so you'll have the link and you can join with us in your time zone on the next day, whatever, and be part of it. That's all you got to do. Contact Tina. She won't bite your head off. She might, but I don't think she will. I've seen her in some pretty good moods. You get that in transformation. Oh, I love you. Peace.